Oh, welcome to my championship video. It's an insanely early championship video. However, we now know which 24 teams are in the championship after seeing Leeds bottle it at the last moment again. How many times they have to go into playoffs and lose? This is not good. However, we are going to start at the bottom and we're going to work our way up. It's an insanely flat league this year coming up. I fear there's going to be a lot of movement between as high as sixth place all the way down to possibly as low as 20th, 21st. Could be insanely flat. I mean, talking sort of 9, 10, 11, 12 points difference between a hell of a lot of teams come the end of the season. Last year, I did it quite well. I got that it was going to be 4 teams and a big gap to 5th and 6th, and there indeed was. I didn't predict Ipswich to be in there. I predicted a swap between Ipswich and Middlesbrough. I had 4 teams slightly out by about 12 places. Well, quite way out, actually, by 12 places. In total, I had a total of 114 points, which is about 4 or 5 places out per team, which is not actually too bad considering what happened last year. So a few surprises along the way. So I'm going to start with the 24th position. Let's start in 24th. And this is a team that came up not last year, but the year before. I've got Plymouth Argyle. Plymouth Argyle, a team that is, the bookies are saying are going to finish in 23rd. I've seen most people put them in or around the bottom 4 or 5. I think, well, manager Rooney, he took over Birmingham City in 4th position, was it, last year? Look where they finished in League One. Obviously, it wasn't all his fault. However, he certainly started the rot. He didn't do well in the US, so I just can't see it. I hope I'm wrong. I hope he relinquishes it. I hope he gets something from this and starts to prove that he can actually manage. But I just am not convinced. So in 24th, I've got Plymouth Argyle. In 23rd, I've got a team that last year that played pretty dismal towards the latter half. I actually thought they were the worst team I'd seen at Rotherham, and I thought they played dismal. Realistically, where the bookies putting them? Bookies are putting them 20th and just stay up. I can't see it. I can't see them changing unless they make wholesale changes within that squad. I think in 23rd place, Blackburn Rovers. Now, this may come as a bit of a surprise. I've got a team that the bookies are putting in 12th position. This is a team that came up last year, and I think that Paul Warne just doesn't have the championship criteria. He's not got the credentials. Will he stay till Christmas? I doubt it. I don't think even if I think he'll get the backing. I think he'll get the backing for players, and I think he'll, with the name of Derby County, he'll get some good players, which he could never at Rotherham because they don't have the same sort of stature of name that Derby County have. But can he cut it at the Championship? Has he been able to prove he can? No, he's an unproven Championship manager. So in 22nd, I have Derby County. Derby County, who will be looking to try and cement a nice mid-table position. They may even be trying to get a straight promotion, a double promotion like Ipswich. Can they do it? No, I don't think they can. I think they'll get rid of Paul Warne somewhere around Christmas. They need to get rid of him before the January window. I would really hate to think, for their fans' sake, that they get rid of him after the January window and end up bringing someone in to try and work with what they've got. They need someone in to work. If it fails, they would need to change that before the window so that they could at least have one quick shifty of players and get some refreshment in there at the point where he can have his own style put on it. So in 22nd position, I have Derby County. In 21st, just missing out on relegation, I'm going to go straight in here. I think it's Swansea City. I think Swansea City. I've seen a lot of people put them in the bottom three. They struggled out of it, didn't they? They toyed with the bottom end so much last year, and they just managed to stay out of that, out of the drop zone. But they were really quite close. Will they do the same this year? It's very flat. They could finish in 21st. Like I say, they could finish a lot higher. It's not an easy league to be predicting this year. It really isn't. What else can I say? A poor mid-table team that's going to see a lot of improvements with the teams around them, and teams coming up that want to be doing well. I think that yeah, I'm going to stick with that. It's difficult to put. I didn't know who to put in 21st, to be quite honest. In 21st, I'm going to keep it Swansea City. In 20th, we have a team that that is Bristol City. They're in 18th position with the bookies, 2 places below Swansea. I think Bristol City, they've got a good young manager there. Can he cut it in this division? Yeah, he can, and he will do. I think he needs a little bit longer. I think he will make a good manager. He's stopped Bristol City from doing so much yo-yoing. They kept being one of those sides that they could do really well one weekend, and then the next weekend they're doing bad. And they win against a side you think they'd lose against, and they'd lose against a side you think they're going to win against. And a lot of the Bristol City fans that were listening on podcasts and on lives were saying, "We don't know which team's going to turn up here. It's ridiculous." So in 20th position, I have Bristol City. Moving up into the third quarter of the championship, we have in 19th position a team that actually the bookies are putting in 19th. Come to think of it, and a lot of people are putting them in that middle section. I have seen them predicted to be in the bottom 3. Last year, they had a great end to the season, pulling away from that bottom zone, but they did look like they were going to enter into that bottom 3 or 4, 5 places last year. I think that great end will play as a great springboard into next year, and I think that enthusiasm and the drive will carry on. Not much more that you can say about this team as a middle of the table, but they have been really good. They have been in the top 7 or 8 and doing well and looking to get into that top 6 in the past few years. So in 19th position, I got Millwall. In 18th, I've got a team that I have seen predicted around 18th, 19th, and 20th. I've also seen them predicted 23rd and 24th. Where are they on the odds? They're actually 24th as far as the bookies are concerned. A team that has only 3 sides to its stadium, if you call it a stadium. I think they're going to be hitting this with a lot of effort, and I think they're one of those teams certainly in League One that never gave up. Even when they lost, they never really gave up that the thought that they could come back here and they could get something from it. So I think in 18th position, it's going to be Oxford. So I'm going to go with 18th position, Oxford United. Moving gently into the mid-table now, I've got in 17th position. I'm going to straight with these next few. Oxford United, Stoke City in 17th. Beg your pardon. So Stoke City in 17th. The bookmakers have them in 13th. I've seen them all over that middle half of the league. It's going to be so flat. It's really, really difficult, which is why I'm going to go through these. All these that I'm going to go through now are quite interchangeable. Really, really are. Don't be upset if you're in the next sort of 6, 7, 8, 9 places, because really there's nothing to choose between them. They may be like 2 or 3 points difference between these next teams, and they could be anywhere in the mix. So 17th Stoke City, why do I put them there? They had good form at the end. They did look like they were going to be right down in that drop zone. But I just don't think that I just can't see them being near the bottom. I have seen them predicted to be in the bottom 3. But they've got the best goalkeeper in the league. They've got Victor Johansson. And I'm gonna put my bets behind Victor. I think that he will be one to watch. All the Rotherham fans are now watching Victor and Stoke City and hoping that they do well. So in 17th, I've got Stoke City. In 16th, I'm going backwards. 16th, I go Cardiff City, a team that is anywhere, absolutely anywhere. You don't know what team's going to turn out next year. They lost 5-2 at Rotherham, but to be quite honest, they were on the beach. They didn't play as well as they could have done. You could tell what the team they got out there wasn't the best. And if they had put their best out, if they'd have tried, even if the team they put out had tried, they'd have at least made it 5-all. I got a Cardiff City side that is, what do you say? They had a little bit of a blip a couple of years ago with the finances, and they couldn't quite spend enough to make themselves a force to be reckoned with. So, but now they seem to be over that. So in 16th, I've got Cardiff City. In 15th, going up, I've got a team that played dismal in that second half of the season, almost as badly as Blackburn Rovers. They just couldn't seem to win anything. I've got Sunderland. So Sunderland I've got in 15th. Where the bookies got them, Sunderland have got they're in 9th as far as the bookies are concerned. I've seen Sunderland, mainly people are putting them in that middle section, and I can't blame them. I can't see them. They haven't got the they don't play poorly enough to be in the bottom third, but they sure as heavens don't have enough to be in the top third. I've got them in that 15 slot. I think that's where they're going to roughly be. I'm going to say it's quite a flat section, this, so it could be anywhere in this section. But in 15 slot, I've got Sunderland. we're staying in that flat area now. We're staying with 14th position. I've got Preston North End. Now I've seen Preston North End be predicted in the bottom three. Can't really see it. Preston, for the bookies, are in the bottom three. Preston are actually 22nd as far as the bookies are concerned. But it was an up and down season. I mean, they were right at the top of the league at the beginning, and then they sort of went to about just below the top six and sort of hung around there for a while, and then they sort of dropped. And they were sort of up and down. I just don't see them doing much worse than 14th. I think it'll be around there. So I'm going to go with in 14th position, Preston North End. We're going to the last team in this third quarter, the one just below halfway. We're going for 13th. Now, this was a difficult decision. I'm a Rotherham fan. I hate Sheffield Wednesday fans. I don't hate Sheffield Wednesday. I hate Sheffield Wednesday fans. They always think they're so massive and they're so brilliant. And the ground is, 1940s. They do what they can in the space they've got. And Chansiri does. It's his money, at the end of the day, it's his money. Love him or hate him, it's his millions he's putting into the club. And he's done really well. Now, Sheffield Wednesday, for the bookies, are in 16th. I've seen them all over the place, but Danny Roll, he's done a marvellous job. They managed to get him signed on again, which I think, had they not signed him up for another extension, I think they would have lost him. And honestly, I think he would have gone somewhere like Sunderland, and I think that we'd be talking about Sheffield Wednesday being in the bottom three. I think purely because the manager is Danny Roll. I have absolute respect for him. He's done really well with what he's had to play with. And let's face it, they're not great players, a lot of them. There's no real one standout player. I mean, Windass, but he's a good League One player. And he's made them into decent, semi-decent bottom-end Championship players. I think they'll have a good season, and I think they'll be happy looking back at last year to think 13th place, Sheffield Wednesday. I did have them in third. I did have them in fifth or sixth, and I decided that was a bit too ambitious. So we've kept them down there. In 12th position, I'm probably edging towards the end of this really, really flat area. I have in 12th position Watford. Draws galore last year. The new manager as well, wasn't it? Draws galore. I think, can they get out of that? Yeah, they can, but they're such an average Championship club now. Gone are the days where they could challenge for the top six. However, you have to remember, the last time they went up to the Premier League, they had loads of draws. They had loads of draws, and they got promoted because they kept drawing 0-0. They couldn't score, but their defence was the best in the league. Could they do the same? Lots of draws, but still win enough to get up there. Yes, it's not an impossible thought that this middle section of 12 teams is probably quite level. So in 12th position, I've got Watford. In 11th, I've got a surprise. I'm actually. Where did Watford come on the? Watford, I've got them in 12th. The bookies have them in 11th, and in 11th I've got Portsmouth, and Portsmouth are with the bookies are 10th. So I'm not too far away from how the odds are going. And I think Portsmouth have come up with a really good side. they've got rid of a few, let's just say old wood, dead wood. Rafferty bit prone to knee and Achilles injuries. A few surprises. Rags got let off on a free, and you think, perhaps he still had something to a part to play in the championship. But I think they will be. It looks from who they let go that their plan of attack for next year is almost to try and emulate the likes of Ipswich. Will they do it? Will they manage to follow Ipswich to the Premier League? No, I don't think they will. There's far too much going on at that top end, and the Championship is different from League One in that it's got a lot of parachute payments issues at the top, and if those teams use their parachute payments properly, they should be out and far ahead of the Championship clubs from day one. So for that reason, I'm going to just stick with putting Portsmouth in the middle of that flat section. So in 11th, I've got Portsmouth. In 10th, I've got one of my big surprises. Now, this team has allegedly got they've got outstanding debts of 290 million on 250 million, 290 million to agents and other clubs they bought players from. They have to now sell, and it's basically one out, one in. Fire sale. I think the fire sale is on, guys. In 10th position, I've got Leeds. Yes, Leeds, the one that's favourites to be the in first place champions of the Championship. I think the fire sale is going to cause a fair amount of upset, and I just cannot see after losing in the final in such a average way. You've got to remember the odds. The odds are, the statistics show that most teams that lose in the final have a torrid time the following year. Huddersfield, they actually started in 24th position the year they lost, well, the year after they lost in the final, and they stuck there for absolutely months, eventually cutting free and getting into the bottom six. Coventry lost, and they went down to, I think, to a 19th, 20th, where they lost against Rotherham last year. And I remember there being on the couple of lives streams where they said, where their fans have said, look, we played dreadful, we might go down here. But then they picked up and they ended the season on a high, doing quite well. So the statistics show that whoever loses tends to lose players. I'm hearing that they're going to lose at least 3 of their best players. But will that be enough? Do they have to sell more? I think they do. I think that we're going to see drastic changes at Leeds. I think I've got in 10th place Leeds United. I think that's enough for the risks and the risky predictions. I think I don't want to do too many more like that. So we're going to 9th. Again, we're at the top end of this flat section, and I think it's a team that's done really well. The Betsters are putting them in 15th. I've seen this team roughly in 9th position, actually. I've seen them, a lot of people putting them between sort of 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. I can't see any more because they finished really well. They were in the bottom 3 for God knows how long. I can't say any more. It's in 9th position. I've got QPR. In 8th position, and the last of this flat section, at the very top, I've got a team that did really well last year, especially towards the end. and they could have done so well. They could have overtook they could have overtook Norwich and West Brom if they'd have won some more of those last games. But Norwich and West Brom started losing and drawing, and so did Hull City. They could have done it. Ambitious owner, ambitious manager. This could be the year for them, but I just can't see it. I just think that the teams above them will be trying their absolute best to close those gaps. And I think that we have to look at the name of the club. Hull City as a name is not as great as the teams above them. And I think you'll find players thinking, well, do we go there? Or do we go, we'll go to Norwich City, we'll go to Coventry, we'll go to Sheffield United. A little bit of a rough, uneasy way of doing it. But in 8th place, I've got Hull City. I'm going in 7th place now, and probably a few points ahead by the end of the season. I think we'll have a little bit of a gap there, and I got the gaps pretty spot on last year. But I got them exactly spot on, and even down to the number of points. So I'm quite proud of that. I think a few points gap, probably 6, 7, 8, 9 points gap to 7th place. When I've got Norwich City now, Norwich City on the odds are 5th. I've got them as 7th. A lot of people are putting around this sort of on, under, or over the playoff line. Excuse me. What do I say about Norwich City? It depends who they get in as manager. Really does. Is it? Has it been too late getting a manager? I always say that what Rotherham did last year and get rid of their manager 3 games before the end was a really shrewd idea. It means that the manager has 3 games at least to watch and move players around, and he decides who goes, he decides who stays, he decides who comes in. Now you've got a mixture of players who the new manager will want to bring in, mixed with players that someone else has decided to release who aren't there, and players who they've decided not to release who he's got to put up with. He may want them, he may not. So I think in 7th place, I have Norwich City. We're going into the top 6 now, and people are thinking, oh, I know who's in top 6. I know he's put us in the top 6. 6th place, just in there, possibly by goal difference points. I think there's going to be a couple of points difference between Norwich and my 6th place Coventry. I think Coventry are going to do it. I think Coventry, I have absolute confidence in their manager. Yeah, he is an old Rotherham player, but and he did jump ship at the wrong point when we were doing well and go to Barnsley for the cash. But I think Mark Robins, he can do this. He's a very good tactician, as we saw in the FA Cup. They have a side that can play absolutely excellent at the minute. They don't really, I don't think, need too much. They've got good strike force at the front. Is it top 6? Perhaps not, but I think what Mark Robins gets from them is top 6. So right on the bottom of that top 6, we have in 6th place Coventry City. Just to put, where are they? They're 8th place in the bookies chart. So it's in 5th place. I have a team coming down from the Premier League. Now this team is Sheffield United. They're in 7th with the bookies. I've seen this team placed with YouTubers anywhere between 4th and 12th. It's a case of what is Wilder like? He's very good at stabilising, and he stabilised the team in the Premier League, I think, quite well. not as well as we expected. We thought he might be able to do a better defensive job and try and win a few more games, which didn't quite come off. Didn't come off at all. But I think in the championship, those umbrella payments will be absolutely critical here. I think Wilder will be able to use that well. They'll lose some players, absolutely, and I don't buy into some of these YouTubers who are saying, they're going to lose all their best players and then they're going to be down in 12th position. They're going to lose all their best Premier League players, which aren't that many. And then they're going to come down and they're going to do what? They're going to buy Championship players because they're Sheffield United. They're going to be able to buy top-end Championship players. Okay, not good enough to win the league, but they're going to be good enough, I think, to be around 5th somewhere. So in 5th place, I've got Sheffield United. In 4th place, I have a team that I put in the top 6. I put in the top 4 last year. Like I say, if I swapped 2 teams around, if I swapped Ipswich and Middlesbrough, I'd be roughly spot on here. I'd be crowing about the fact that I got the top 4 right. I'm gonna stay with it, and I'm gonna think, in 4th place, I've got a team with Latte Latte at the front. I mean, he's brilliant. I liked watching him. He was great. Can they get more out of him? I think they can. Will they get more out of him? I think they will. I think in 4th place, I've got Middlesbrough. In 3rd place, I've got a team, again, just like Middlesbrough, I've gone with the same position as the bookies. I've got in 3rd place a team coming down from the Premier League. I've got Luton Town. I can't say much about them different from Sheffield United. I think they will lose some of their better players, but they've got the umbrella payments. They're not going to be losing Premier League players and gaining League One players. They're going to be gaining the best of the Championship. They can afford it for the next 3 years. So in 3rd place, I've got Luton Town. A bit of a surprise in 2nd place, I must admit. In 2nd place, I've got a team who the bookies have put 6th. A lot of people have put around 6th, 7th, 8th. I've seen a few people put them in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, but not many. Again, not much to say. They've just stayed in that top 6. Had a pretty poor end to the season, I think. There's no real firepower in there. That I'm not really seeing any oomph up front. But I think that they did so well with they were the only team not to get anyone in last summer. No recruitment. And I put them near the bottom thinking, everyone else is improving. You're not buying anyone. And I'll put my hands up to the manager. He did absolutely sterling work with no recruitment. West Brom. I think West Brom will, if they just tweak a few things and get a few people in this time, I think it's 2nd place. I think I'm going for West Brom 2nd. First, I've got a team who are 2nd in the bookies odds. A team that people are putting 1st, 2nd, 3rd. I've not seen them out of the first top 3. I got Burnley. What can you say? Coming down. Company would have been, keeping Company would have meant that I would have definitely been thinking 1st, absolute 1st, rock solid. Without Company, I'm thinking just 1st, but they could slip to 2nd or 3rd. So it was really always going to be his company staying. But I decided in the end to go with first Burnley. So let's just look at this, look at this quickly, and see what makeup we want to go through for this year, because I got the makeup quite spot on last year. I think we're going to be seeing probably a top 5. I think a top 5 is going to be what we'll see this year. I did think top 4 last year. I think top 5 this year with Burnley, West Brom, Luton, Middlesbrough and Sheffield United. I think that they will just be points ahead of the next section, with 6th place. I'd probably say 6th and 7th, Coventry and Norwich, almost on their own in a little gap. I just think that Coventry and Norwich aren't really top 5 material, but I don't see them as from 8th down. Hull City, QPR, Leeds. I don't forget Leeds, Portsmouth, Watford. I don't see them down with those teams. So I'm sort of worried about this bit of it. I think my 6th and 7th is going to be difficult. Coventry and Norwich, somewhere in there. They may go up, down, split, Park Company. It could be anywhere. And it's certainly with Norwich. It's going to be a new manager. Have they left it too long? Are you giving him a team and saying, right, okay, next season we'll start with the team we've let you have, plus any that we managed to let you purchase? I don't know. It could go either way. It could go either way for both of them. It really could. I think the most stable one of those two is Coventry, and they'll be there or thereabouts. Norwich could be anywhere. So from 8th, if we go down, Hull City, QPR, Leeds, Portsmouth. I'll come back to Leeds in a minute. Portsmouth, Watford, Sheffield Wednesday. I'll come back to in a minute. Preston, Sunderland, Cardiff, and then we start to get to the bottom end of this even zone that I'm calling it, where we start getting towards Cardiff and Stoke. I think there's going to be not many points there between Hull City in 8th and Stoke City in 17th. Very few indeed, possibly 3, 12, 9, something like that, between the whole lot, which is actually really flat. And I got that right last year as well. QPR, I think, put a 2-win streak together and came out of the bottom 3. And I heard one of their fans say, "Oh, if we win our next game, it'll be 3 wins in a row, and we'll be 9. We might be 9 points away from Norwich." They didn't win it, but Norwich lost it that weekend, and actually they would have been 9 points behind, 6th place Norwich, and they had about 8, 9, 10 games to go. It's flat as hell. I ain't going to see that again. Those teams are going to be immensely level. Just wanted to go back to Leeds. I think the fire sale is not something that is guaranteed. I think looking at their finances, and it's all hearsay, there's a damn good chance there will be a fire sale. That does not bode well for the team. Because it ends up being we don't get rid of the players we want to get rid of. We get rid of the players we have to get rid of. And then they can obviously spend what money they get in, which is brilliant. But they're relying on their name, and their name is I must admit, it's one of the bigger teams in Yorkshire, probably the biggest. Let's face it, they probably can get good names in, but it's a lot of upheaval. I've perhaps been a little bit pessimistic. Well, I'm being very pessimistic, but I'm putting them in 10th for a reason. I just think that it's going to be too much upheaval for them. The other team I wanted to just touch on there before we go to the bottom section is Sheffield Wednesday. And I see Sheffield Wednesday doing really well. They finished excellently, and Danny Röhl looks like he's staying. And if he is, I actually pondered putting Sheffield United in 5th and Sheffield Wednesday in 6th. But then I thought, the teams in the middle are actually trying the damnedest to be in that top half. They're going to be spending just enough to make sure they're not at the bottom, because they know now that it's going to be flat, and they know that it's going to be a really difficult year if you just stay somewhere in the middle. You're going to be so close to the bottom. A little bit of a blip and you're in the bottom 3. So that's my thinking behind Sheffield Wednesday in 13th. Don't think they'll be in the bottom section at all. I don't think they'll probably not even get anywhere near it. But I think 13th is a good place. So now we go back down and we go to my other choice. We've got a few points gap then between that nice even section down to 17th. I've got 18th, Oxford. I think Oxford will actually manage to get players in who are up for the fight. Players that have something to prove. And I think they'll be there or thereabouts this year. I think that they'll prove a lot of people wrong. Pundits are putting them last by miles. I don't see it. A lot of people who I'm seeing on YouTubers aren't seeing it either. A bit overconfident, perhaps 18th. They might just scrape it and finish 21st. But I'm going to say 18th, and then you're going to get, so you got a couple of points, 3 or 4 or 5, 6 points, perhaps gap down to Oxford, bang, Millwall, Bristol City, Swansea. I really think this is going to be a point, 2 points, 1 point, even, and there's going to be very few points between that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the last 7 positions. Probably 10 points covering the lot by the end of the season. Sorry, I'm not convinced with Rooney. I want to say Plymouth will succeed in getting out of it again this year. As a club, I like Plymouth. As fans, it's a bit like Sheffield Wednesday. Fans were really good when they were in League One. And we'd love to do a Rotherham and go up and down. At least it means we're doing well and we're not going down into League Two. And then when they started doing really well and they rocketed to Championship position 12th, 11th, they were all, oh no, we're not going down now. We're not going to do a Rotherham. And every weekend I'd look at what they were predicting. Rotherham are going to lose, but it's just a case of by how many. And I think, well, where did these fans go that were actually quite nice to Rotherham in League One? And all of a sudden they're attacking us. I mean, they were right. We were going to lose, and it was by how many. But they were just so blasé about it, and I didn't like it. So I've fell out with the fans from Plymouth. I do hope I'm wrong. I do hope that Rooney proves me completely incorrect, but I can't see it. So there's my predictions for the end of the year. Hopefully, you'll see a couple of flashes of the top quarter, then the middle quarter, lower middle, and the bottom quarter appear in front of you. And good luck. I hope your team proves me completely wrong if you're in the bottom half. And I hope your team proves me completely correct if you're in the top half. That's me for today. 45 minutes, that sounds pretty good. And I shall see you at some point next year doing a few lives. Please like and subscribe. Click the button. Come on.